This is Free Talk Live. The number, if you want to join us, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Nobody.
And Angie.
And I want to make sure you know about AnyPay. AnyPay 2.0 is out there now, and crypto payments are faster than they've ever been. If you ever tried AnyPay 1.0, it was pretty good. AnyPay 2.0 is way faster. And if you're using Edge Wallet, Handcash, Bitcoin.com's wallet, or Dash Wallet, then you'll have a smooth experience with AnyPay. But some wallets just aren't there yet, unfortunately, like Koinomi or Exodus Wallet. Two very fine wallets. Just they don't have what it takes to be compatible with AnyPay. They don't handle what they call the pay protocol. So we're asking for your help. If you're a user of Koinomi or Exodus, Relay X, or Bread Wallet, and you want these wallets to be better, you have to ask for it. It's a decentralized marketplace, so not everybody does the same thing all at once, so it helps if they hear from users like you. And the way that you can do that is to go to anypayinc.com/upgrade, anypayinc.com/upgrade. You'll get the instructions on what makes one wallet work and another one doesn't, and kind of give you a basic explanation, and then contact information for your favorite wallet programmers over at anypayinc.com/upgrade. We're talking about the latest takedown on social media, this time Twitter, banning Project Veritas from its platform, and possibly the founder of Project Veritas as well, James O'Keefe, saying that they didn't do a good enough job at protecting the private information, or what they're calling private information, of a Facebook quote-unquote vice president of integrity.
Just imagine that. You let some of the Facebook execs' information go. What does Facebook do? It sells your information wholesale to the highest bidder at great and very profitably.
Right.
I might add. So basically, they're saying that if you do to them personally when they do it as a company, it's just a statistic. But when it happens to them, it's a tragedy, which is more or less what Stalin said about death. One death is a tragedy, but a million deaths is just a statistic.
Yeah. So, and this guy's actually called the Vice President of Integrity, Guy Rosen, at his house.
By the way, the next version of Cell 411 will have Facebook completely removed. Except for being able to disconnect you from your Facebook account.
Yeah, let's actually take a detour there in just a moment, because I did mention that toward the end of this week we would hopefully see a fixed version of Cell 411 available on the Android Google Play Store, and it has happened as of yesterday. I believe it was yesterday afternoon or evening sometime. The Google gods allowed the Cell 411 version that you sent over to it to be posted. So now you can download, if you're on the Android platform, you can download a version of Cell 411 that is actually going to work. The issue previously was that sometimes the alerts wouldn't come through. And with an app like Cell 411, that's a game stopper kind of showstopper kind of app or bug that needed to be fixed. And you and your team, you took care of that, and it is working now.
Yep,
so.
And a lot of thanks to the guys at Wisely Soft who have been great to work with through this.
Indian guys, they program software.
Yeah, and they are great guys, and
they work for a quarter of the price of American programmers.
Yeah, don't tell them that. I can't afford to pay more. But the thing is, they're great guys, and in that vein, let me do a quick infomercial here. Cop Block Technologies, I think I'm going to call it, is looking for people to build the next generation of communications and security apps. So if you're a programmer, especially if you're a software architect, because we're early in the process, drop a mail to software@invisiblehand.church, and it's going to be completely open source. Everybody will see everything in it. It's going to start with Cell 411 and build from there and basically rebuild these projects on top of a stable infrastructure that we can trust. I
was talking with the founder of Cell 411 today, Virgil Viduva, and he said to me that he's actually been observing the chat, because we finally got him in the Telegram room, because we've got a Telegram chat for the programmers.
Yeah, I add him to everything, but Virgil doesn't talk to me anymore.
He doesn't talk, but he's there. He says, I've been watching the Telegram exchanges. He says, you guys are kicking around the same ideas I was having. I just didn't have time or resources to pursue them. I think you're on the right path.
Good.
So you've got the AOK from the founder.
Good. I hoped I wasn't pissing in his Cheerios, because I respect the hell out of what he's done.
Yeah.
It's visually it hasn't changed at all, because it's one of the most beautiful apps in terms of just to look at. It's spectacular as apps go. I just look at it and I go, wow. So, I'm not an interface guy. I'm an AI guy, so I didn't mess with that at all. But, the most important thing is we've got to get the tentacles of big tech out of it. And what I will acknowledge is, if you're concerned about your security, for now, you do have to think twice about this app, but it's probably not worse than your Android is already. If your attacker is the government, everything on your Android they have.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
it's out right now at the Play Store. Apple didn't need this, but Apple didn't have this bug with their version of Cell 411, so we didn't have to fix that.
Yeah, it does have the bug where when you sign up for Cell 411 for the first time, and this is important to stress, from an iOS system, it's going to get you're going to get a message saying that phone verification failed. Okay? And at that point, just wait, because we've got little monkeys running around in the database, and they will flip that bit in your profile, and you will then be able to use the system. And we apologize for the inconvenience or confusion that may cause. We've got guys on it. It's going to be done. They assure me real soon. Now, sadly, in the software business, that doesn't mean anything. But
they seem pretty good at doing things, though.
They're good guys, and so far, they've been delivering. They've been getting deliverables to me in on the better side of the of what I estimated it might take.
That's good.
They're coming in.
They're meeting
they're
expectations.
Exceeding my expectations.
That's good. Yeah. So I'd say that things are working pretty good. I'm glad to see that happening. Glad to see development continuing with Cell 411. We even got a really nice offer today from the new head of Talk Media Network, which is the radio network that we're just moving over to this week. And he wants to run advertisements to promote Cell 411 on the weekends on the other shows on the network, which is really cool.
Oh, I love it.
So we got to cook up some ads.
I love it. Yeah, we got to cook up some ads. Need videographers, need script writers, comedy writers.
603-283-6160.
People who can make me look attractive.
603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
I got to look back and see if that BTC transaction is cleared.
Oh, yeah.
I got a donation. I won't name the donor. But I got a donation of 1/10 of a Bitcoin at copblock.app, and thank you so much for that to Mr. Donor, whoever you are. And but
that was last night.
Yeah, it was last night, and it was sent with a $5 fee, which is
not small.
It's a very. I mean, that's a chunk of change for flipping a bit in a database, and last I looked, which was 12 hours later, it had not arrived. So it's on the slow boat. And this illustrates, and I've been ramping up on this for a while, and the bottom line is Bitcoin has become a Ponzi scheme. Because
what? A Ponzi scheme?
It's become a Ponzi scheme because they're selling the ability to perform 7 transactions per second. That is absurd. That was great in the proof of concept release.
Sure.
That was the
in 2009.
original one, because it took us a long time to exceed that number of users.
Right.
So Satoshi would have known this isn't going to be a problem for a while.
And then it was.
And then there will be money to fix it.
Yeah.
And there was money to fix it. And somebody hijacked Bitcoin, because Bitcoin should have been able to solve this problem many times over. And we've seen the Lightning Network, which seems to be like a train wreck.
It's still 18 months away every time you check on it.
There's things it would be good for. Don't get me wrong. If I was running an exchange, I would run it as a Lightning Network.
And a Lightning Network without any, I can't explain the technology, but it's something that the Bitcoin programmers are supposedly working on to make things better.
I can explain the technology. It's not that complex. Basically, everybody throws their Bitcoin in the same bag, and whatever happens on the other side of the lightning wall is it's kept, the owner of that bag keeps track of it.
Right, but that's centralizing the Bitcoin.
Exactly. And then he's responsible for the bookkeeping. So that open public ledger, it's no longer an open public ledger. It's a ledger run by some guy.
This seems to be really problematic.
It's not decentralized. It's federated.
Yeah.
Okay? It's a step in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay? SegWit addresses...
is another technology that Bitcoin has implemented and hasn't done really jack diddly to reduce fees.
Yeah, I mean, it bought some time. I think it did reduce the amount of space that each transaction takes up, but still, if the value of your currency keeps growing, it's not worth $40,000 to send 7 transactions a second.
Right now, it actually hit a record high again today. Bitcoin record high over $48,000 today. It's amazing the price just shooting up of this thing.
It's become a scam because it's supposed to be a store of value, but you can't store value that you don't have. And if you can only do 7 transactions per second when everybody else can do 1,000, and when there are 1,000 other blockchains out there to put your traffic over, then that's all they're trading on is a name and hype.
That's it.
The hype machine is going. Why doesn't the hype machine see Bitcoin Cash? Why don't any of these brilliant celebrities see the other coins that are out there?
Well, they are talking about Dogecoin. But that's not...
good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I mean, and don't get me wrong. I made money when they pumped Doge, you know. I didn't make money. The church made money. I've taken a bow of poverty. But you set
up the trading on behalf of the church.
Yes. I am the trader. So in my function as lowly employee of the church, I did make a bunch of money, but I made it for them.
Right.
But the thing is, there's nothing technically new about Dogecoin.
No.
You know?
It's not remarkable in any way except that it was a good joke.
Bitcoin SV has good things about it, but the developers just need to do what Satoshi would have done and fork it to get the stink of that right character off it. Just fork it. Let him have that fork, and let him be the only one on that.
I'm trying to answer all of your questions, Angie, before you're asking them.
I love having her here because it's perfect.
And I want to know about Dogecoin.
I can say it. She can not know what I mean.
Just because I was told that it started as a scam. Can you explain that to me?
No,
or like
it
started as a joke.
Can you explain how that happened?
Well, basically, have you seen the picture of the dog?
Yes.
That's some funny crap. That's all.
That's it. They named it after
See,
the
now
Doge.
you get it.
Okay, so for listeners that don't know, the dog that you're referencing is a Shiba Inu, and it has, it's been one of these not Bitcoin. I don't think it was related to Bitcoin initially. It was just a meme. It was one of the various different meme images on the internet, and this dog is referred to as Doge, Doge. And
because misspelling is funny.
Yeah, and it was just this cute, silly photo of this dog that somebody said, "Hey, let's make a coin and call it Dogecoin."
And the dog looks like he's laughing at you. He
he
really does
I know. I've
look
seen
like,
him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they put his face on, like an image of a coin or whatever, and I think that didn't the Dogecoin guys buy like a race car sponsorship at one point or something like that?
Could be. They've actually done amazingly well, and they kind of prove my point that when the blockchain space is becoming commodified, you don't have to do anything special to have some value.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But you would have to do a lot special to be worth $40,000 a coin.
Well, I mean, even Dogecoin.
I'm not saying that Bitcoin is completely broken. It's mostly broken, mostly because it's overused.
Yeah, it's super slow.
And, we need to get the 999% of that traffic off of the one road that can't carry it and onto the 999 roads that can.
Well, considering Dogecoin really was just a joke, it had actually broken into the top 10 of cryptocurrencies this week. Right now, it's sitting at number 12, ranked by market cap, and it's right below Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash, number 11.
Bitcoin Cash is back above it, though, because it was above Bitcoin Cash for a little bit.
It was for a little bit, and so they're sort of neck and neck right now.
Yeah.
You can go to CoinGecko.com to see that. We got time for you if you want to join us here.
Another thing, since we're explaining things tonight, another thing that people might not know is Dogecoin is much cheaper than Bitcoin Cash.
Yes.
But its market cap is almost the same size because there are a great many Doge out there.
Yeah, there apparently are 128 billion and change Doge right now. And there's no limit to the number of Doge that can be created, unlike Bitcoin, where Bitcoin has a limit, and Bitcoin Cash has a limit at 21 million.
Bitcoin Cash is the real Bitcoin.
Yeah, Dogecoin is the definition of an inflationary currency. They can just keep on going and going
But
and going
that's
forever.
okay. It will never make them $1 billion, but they'll carry plenty of traffic.
There's more coming up here. This is Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live, open phones as always. If you want to join us here, we're talking about everything from cryptocurrency to Cell 411 emergency alerts and Facebook, or rather Twitter, banning somebody, sort of on behalf of Facebook. Somebody cornered a Facebook executive outside his home, the guy from, or one of the guys from Project Veritas, and now they've been taken down from Twitter as a result of that. So if you want to comment on any of those things or bring something else up entirely, you're welcome to do that. Our number here is 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And nobody.
And Angie.
So we've been discussing, as I said, cryptocurrency was the last topic. And in fact, I actually had some Bitcoin-related news here tonight. All the big boys are now jumping on board with Bitcoin.
Isn't that interesting that that's
Finally.
what they're announcing?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be interesting? See, that's one of the reasons that I think that's being pumped and dumped right now.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, well, I predicted it was like 2014. I said on the air that one of the techniques that the Federal Reserve would use against Bitcoin is pumping and dumping it to make it look unstable. And that if we knew that was coming, we could drain the energy out of that attack by basically keeping a balance between what we have in crypto and what we have in dollars, and holding enough dollars when crypto is going up to basically buy twice as much if and when it falls. Because
The tricky part is you don't know when it's going to fall. Like, how high are they going to push it up this time? We have no idea.
You don't know that. And so what I do is I keep my or for the church, this is the church's trading strategy. This is the way of the hand at the moment. Basically, I have it set up so that I have 5 bags I have a bag of Bitcoin BTC. I have a bag of BCH, ETH, several other coins. Mostly the big boys, Litecoin, I think, and maybe one other. Definitely one other. I can't remember what it's in now. But anyway, so on a daily basis, I average my holdings across all of those bags. So whatever is spiking at the moment flows out into other coins. And then when it craters later, I buy more of it back than I held before the spike.
And you're automating this, right?
This is an automated process. It's something like a computer program does it, but I sit there and watch the program run and make sure it gets it right, and I'm always hacking on it. So this is what it does at the moment.
That's cool.
But basically the idea is if the market is too volatile, okay, then what you want to do is you want to create pools of liquidity. Okay, and basically what you do is you turn volatility into profit by just putting liquidity there and letting it spread out.
So let me give you some news here that's worthy of pointing out that things are starting to change as far as how these big bankers and big money companies, old money companies are talking about Bitcoin and
only Bitcoin.
Yes, correct. And well, no, we'll get into some. There's something that may involve more than Bitcoin here in just a moment. But
ETH?
I'm not going to say. I don't know yet. But what we've seen over recent weeks, I would say, it's not even, maybe recent months, nothing sooner than like the end of 2020 was when PayPal came on. And it was like once PayPal opened up.
I was so happy to see them.
Are you being facetious?
Yes, I am.
PayPal has been lackluster in its feature set that they've launched when it comes to purchasing Bitcoin. The number one feature that they need to have that they don't is the ability to actually withdraw the Bitcoin. So you can quote unquote buy Bitcoin on PayPal, but you can't actually withdraw it from PayPal.
It just stays in your PayPal account?
It stays in the PayPal account. And so there's no way to really prove that you actually have Bitcoin because you just have to take their word for it. So it may be fake Bitcoin.
You can sell it back to PayPal at whatever price they specify.
That's right.
They're a monopoly, and when you buy it, they're a monopsopy, which is a sole seller.
Oh, okay.
Monopsopy is sole buyer. Monopoly is sole seller.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah. You have to buy at the price they want. If they change their price to a penny per Bitcoin, guess what? Nothing you can do about it. You sell out at a penny or hold a penny in assets, whatever you want.
Yeah, the odds are they're not going to go that far with it, but yes, you're right.
The odds are
they can do what they want.
The odds are they will screw you slowly and gently.
Yeah.
They'll
so
probably
that you come
back
fee.
for another one, but you're still getting screwed.
Yeah, they're going to hit you likely with a fee later on if they want to. But anyway, the fact that PayPal came on board did push the price of Bitcoin up, or it seemed to coincide with the price of Bitcoin going up, and it did seem to get the attention of some other major players. We reported recently that Visa is now planning on integrating cryptocurrencies somehow and allowing their merchants to receive Bitcoin. It's not real clear what that's going to mean, but they have put out an announcement, and sure enough, their competitor, MasterCard, according to Coindesk.com, is now planning to give merchants the option to receive payments in cryptocurrency later this year.
Now, that says in cryptocurrency.
That's right.
Are they going with something non-Bitcoin?
It's not clear yet.
Okay.
But according to...
Because that would mean something. My prediction is that the big banks are all going to jump on either BTC or ETH.
Neither of which would be a good choice for settling payments.
Terrible.
Why would ETH not be a good choice?
The fees are about as bad as Bitcoin, sometimes worse.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with the ETH blockchain.
And that stands for Ethereum, by the way.
It's just that there need to be 10 of them so they can run all the programs that people need run.
Okay.
But because there's only one ETH blockchain, it's always jam-packed with programs. and so basically the fees are sky high.
Yeah, it's not meant to be a money system. I mean, it can be used as money, obviously, but Ethereum, for listeners that aren't familiar with it, it's the number 2 crypto by market cap right now and has been for a long time. It is a programming interface, basically. It's a way to run software.
It's a virtual machine is what it is that your programs run on top of.
Yeah, and you have to pay fees in order for your program to run, basically, because you're using other people's computers, essentially, to run that program. And so that has resulted in...
But you can have programs running that nobody knows who wrote them. Nobody knows where they came from.
So where do the fees go?
To the miners.
Yeah, they go to the miners. They can also go to the smart contracts, which are what they call the little programs that run on it.
Right. So that's what Ethereum is. It's a way for people to do other things besides money with cryptocurrency.
Okay.
Which also says that it should not be taxable.
No doubt.
It's not money.
So anyway, MasterCard is looking to give merchants the option later this year to receive payments in cryptocurrency. According to a source familiar with the matter, the functionality will see MasterCard customers' digital currency payments settled in crypto at participating merchants, a first for the financial giant. So it's not clear if they're actually going to accept cryptocurrency payments at the point of sale as much as they are offering to settle to the merchants in cryptocurrency, which is an interesting option if that's what they're talking about. Meaning that if you're a merchant and you accept MasterCard, that any person that comes in and swipes their MasterCard and pays you with dollars, you may be able to tell MasterCard, hey, I'd rather have that in Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or whatever it is the options are that they decide to make available, which would essentially mean MasterCard would become a cryptocurrency dealer.
Yep, they would hold it.
You're still spending 3%, and the same thing could be implemented as a wallet with an interface to Cash App.
Sure.
You know, it's or USDT. The thing about Cash App is it in turn has a nexus with the MasterCard and Visa system, so it makes it easy to get money out of it through your ATM. They're actually tied into the ATM system.
And that's why people pay 3% to MasterCard, because it gives them access to all of the MasterCard holders, and there's a lot of them. So they're not going away anytime soon, and it's interesting here that they're doing this. Now, according to CoinDesk, the company has not yet disclosed which digital currencies it intends to support or where this will be available, but the details shed new light on their CEO's Q4 pledge to integrate digital currency payments, quote, directly on our network, unquote, in a move for the new chief in his first earnings call. Previously, MasterCard supported...
That's a use for the Lightning Network. Okay, basically... They could have all of the money that gets paid in goes into their Lightning node. They're keeping the books behind the scenes, but then when you pull Bitcoin back out, it comes out of the same bag it went into. You could also use it to run a digital casino.
603-283-6160. In other news, the nation's oldest bank in the United States is also now jumping into cryptocurrency. We'll tell you about that coming up, and you can share your thoughts with us. 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
I'm sorry if I'm being...
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, and the phones are open as always here as we kick off the second hour of the program. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio here tonight, it's Ian.
Poke Nobody of the Church of the Invisible Hand.
And Angie.
Indeed. So, again, 603-283-6160. We've been talking about things related to Bitcoin, but that's not the only thing we can talk about here on Free Talk Live. It's just that...
We can talk about COVID, too.
Yeah. I do have something related to COVID.
I knew you would.
But I'd really, it's
you
like
never
the least
disappoint
important.
Me.
Here's the headline for you. At UC Berkeley, they are now banning outdoor exercise. So,
Good Lord.
Due to COVID.
Oh, my God. See, the veins in my legs are collapsing because I've been spending so much time sitting in that damn chair. I got no muscle tone left in my buns.
Yeah, no good.
It's crazy.
No good.
Now they're telling people how many of us do they want to kill?
Well, you're not on the UC Berkeley campus, so you don't have to worry about it. But it's just an
Well,
example
I'm
of
not,
how
but
insane.
they're people.
Yeah, how
There's
insane
people
this
there.
is going. I would like to encourage them to leave, if they're allowed to even leave at this point.
Don't let
the
your
campus.
schooling interfere with your education, boys and girls. Get out there. Get on
Get
the
out of
internet.
there.
Everything you want to know is there.
So we're going to go to your phone calls and thoughts here, but some of the big news is that MasterCard now announcing that businesses later this year that accept MasterCard will somehow be able to accept cryptocurrency. Not real sure exactly what that's going to look like, but that's what they're talking about. Also, America's oldest bank now getting into crypto as well. Let's talk first, though, to David in New Mexico. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, I need you to straighten me out. I was just listening to a radio station out of Arizona, and some expert know-it-all, Bubba Guido, said that Bitcoin is not backed up by anything whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And so I want you to set that Bubba Guido on a radio station in Arizona straight as to whether he is an expert or not an expert.
Well,
what's a Bubba Guido? Is that like a redneck
that's just
Mexican?
a slur. It's just a slur. Let it go.
Redneck Italian?
The bottom line is Bitcoin is backed up by exactly one thing. Bitcoin is backed up by its ability to process transactions. What you actually spend Satoshis on is sending transactions. So that is where the value of Bitcoin comes from.
Satoshi is the smallest unit of a Bitcoin. It is, what is it, 1/1,000,000th or something like that of a Bitcoin?
Here comes my shipment from Mr. Dictionary. Yes.
Well, you got to understand, there's people out there listening that
I know.
don't know
I love that you do it because I always don't do that.
about.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
Is the Satoshi, is it 1/1,000,000th of a Bitcoin?
I believe it's 1/100,000,000th.
Okay, yeah.
I think
a lot
it's
of
10 to
zeros.
the 8th.
Yeah, there's a lot of zeros there. It's the
yeah.
smallest unit of accounting for the Bitcoin.
Yeah, so these things, when people say, a Bitcoin costs $40,000, well, BTC shouldn't because BTC sucks, but it
does. 48,000 right now.
Yeah, but you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You can send a tiny fraction of a Bitcoin, 1/100,000,000th.
Yeah, so basically,
right.
David, the answer is the Bitcoin is backed up by the strength of the Bitcoin network, which is a decentralized, distributed network with thousands of nodes all around the planet. And they, even though it's slow, they do provide, and expensive, they do provide reliable, mostly, transactions, meaning that if you send the Bitcoin, it likely will get to where it's supposed to go. And the only reason I say likely these days is because if you send too small of a fee, it may literally sit for weeks and weeks and weeks. So you don't want to...
I'll keep you posted daily on my donation coming in, my 10th of a Bitcoin.
Well, we checked it during one of the earlier breaks, like within the last hour, and it still hasn't confirmed.
Oh, I figured it wouldn't have. I'm curious to see how long it takes.
But that's what it's, why it's valuable is because it'll get your payments to where it's supposed to go over the entire planet. The good news is the other cryptocurrencies that are like Bitcoin will do it instantly or near instantly. I mean, they'll get it done within 10 minutes or less.
Yeah.
In most cases for less than a cent.
Fraction of a penny.
Yeah.
Fraction of a penny.
So,
why do you pay $30 to do something that you could do for a fraction of a penny?
Because you don't know any better. That's why.
It's true. Well, I'm here to teach and to preach.
So Bitcoin is indeed backed up by something very, very, very significant as opposed to nothing. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
exactly.
It is significant to have thousands, I think over 10,000 the last time I saw, of these nodes existing on the internet. That the significance of that means that it cannot be stopped. It cannot be taken down by any of the world's governments. So there's some real protection. There's some real security in using it. And it's also secured by cryptography as well. So it's very, very secured by good math. So it's basically unhackable and unstoppable.
But
good. Well, that's exactly what I would have told Bubba Guida if he would listen to me. But since he wouldn't listen to me, I thought maybe he would listen to you in Arizona.
All right, David. Thank you,
got something
for the call.
against Italians, bro?
I don't know, man. Thanks for the call.
I think I'm part Italian. I'm a mutt.
603-283-6160 is our number. And again, MasterCard now announcing that they are going to be allowing businesses, merchants, to accept cryptocurrency. It sounds like they may be settling transactions in cryptocurrency, which will be interesting.
I'm guessing that what they're going to do is to liquidate the cryptocurrency for you, send dollars to the merchants, and keep the Bitcoin for themselves.
Well, I don't know,
it's a cheap
because
way to buy into that market.
As CoinDesk points out here, they've supported previously limited cryptocurrency transactions through its crypto card partners WireX and Uphold. But those programs only cover payments, not settlement. The coins are converted to fiat currency well before reaching the merchant. The new initiative promises to upend that dynamic among store owners and businesses who opt in. They will be able to conduct their business beyond the bounds of the fiat, which means government money, ecosystem, assuming, of course, their customers have crypto they're willing to spend. Okay. So we thought maybe that they were going to be converting to crypto, but now it sounds like they may actually allow customers to pay with crypto, which would require a significant change in their point of sale systems. I mean, these things are designed.
No, not at all. All they do is they could do the same thing that AnyPay does. Basically, bill you in dollars. Mm-hmm. Well, AnyPay doesn't do it this way, but basically, what they do is you send your crypto to them. Mm-hmm. It goes into a custodial wallet. Okay, and whenever you make a sale, okay, they take some Bitcoin out of your wallet, put it in their wallet, and then pay the vendor in dollars.
Yeah, but that's not what they're talking about here. And again, this may just be
the other thing they could do is then pay the vendor. The vendor, they've got a liability to the vendor once they've moved your coin into their wallet. If their agreement with the vendor says they settle it with him in coin, then they would settle it with him in coin. But it still doesn't have to be denominated in crypto. Think of AnyPay. It's the same process.
No, I understand what you're saying.
The price in dollars.
No, I understand what you're saying. Obviously, the vendor is the merchant is likely going to have a dollar price on the shelf. But the way this story is making it sound, and they're just citing a source, so they don't have any official statement from MasterCard. So it's somewhat speculative, but it makes it sound like they may actually accept cryptocurrency payments from customers and later on offer to settle in cryptocurrency to the merchant. We'll see how this pans out. They say it's hardly a safe bet given the buy and hold mantra pervading the world's largest cryptocurrency. That the source pointed out that most Bitcoin buyers primarily treat their coins as investment vehicles and not payment tools. And the source underscored there's no guarantee MasterCard's crypto settlement initiative will even support Bitcoin. Instead, cryptos will be evaluated against MasterCard's 2019 Principles for Blockchain Partnerships framework.
That's worth reading.
Released in the wake of MasterCard's Libra exit. Remember when they were involved with the Facebook coin?
Yeah.
And they left the Facebook coin? So they came out with these principles around then. The document places emphasis on stability, consumer protection, and regulatory compliance in vetting potential partners.
Does MasterCard invest in Blockstream?
They do.
They do. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was both of them or
now,
not.
what is Blockstream?
Okay. Blockstream is a company that employs some of the Bitcoin legacy coders and or Bitcoin BTC coders, and they were the ones who pretty much insisted that the obvious fix to capacity, expanding the block size, not happen.
Yep. So MasterCard was sort of behind that, which is interesting. There's more coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And bring up anything that you want. We're talking about some of these old money companies like MasterCard jumping into the Bitcoin universe. Apparently, MasterCard
announced... It's a trap!
It may be, but ultimately, I think it's going to be good for the prices of all cryptos. Because, look, the fact is, even though you and I, nobody, we agree that Bitcoin BTC, the original Bitcoin, is less than useful. And we have our critiques that I think are entirely valid about it. People are going to continue to bid the price up likely for some amount of time, and that's only going to result in the other cryptocurrencies also going up. So everybody's going to win.
I mean, eventually... what's going to happen is people are going to come in through buying Bitcoin. They're going to make money from Bitcoin. They're going to get excited about it, and they're going to start reading, and then they're going to find out that there are all these other tools that do the same job better. And that money, so eventually it will reach an equilibrium where the number of people entering from dollars is equal to the number of people who are leaving to other coins. And and then eventually I think it will start falling, and it will be completely subsumed or mostly subsumed by the other coins. And if
people start to actually try to use Bitcoin, they will realize its failure.
But the thing is, why
then,
wouldn't you when Visa costs you 3%? The laws of economics say sooner or later somebody's going to take the more efficient route, and as more people take the more efficient route, it's what I say about, the thing is, maybe they'll keep buying and holding Bitcoin because they think that 7 transactions a second is going to become valuable, but most
people don't know that about Bitcoin.
Most people don't. Yeah, Bitcoin can perform 7 transactions per second, but at the same time, when they're trying to monetize their web app or when they're trying to monetize their program, their Android app, they're not going to build Bitcoin into their micropayment system. It's not going to be there.
You can't have a micropayment
exactly.
with Bitcoin.
It's impossible. So they have to do all of that on systems not Bitcoin. And the sooner people figure that out, the better.
So with you tonight, you've got Ian.
Nobody.
And
nobody
Bonnie.
tells the truth.
And Bonnie, you're sitting in for Angie. She had to step away due to some family.
Oh, I was going to say that hair color makes you look 10 years younger.
Oh, my God.
Let's go to your phone calls here. CW is on the line in Arizona. You're on Free Talk Live, CW.
Hey, howdy. I don't know why Dave didn't want to say KTOX in 1340 Needles, California. That's the greatest station in Arizona. That's where we pick you guys up from.
Now, wait a minute. Dave lives in New Mexico.
I know, but he's a KTOX rat. He always listens to KTOX.
Oh, really?
So he picks us up,
who is the Bubba Guido he was referring to? He kept saying that.
I think Bubba Guido's, a local guy that calls in KTOX, and I think he might be a Mexican hipster that's from SoCal.
Okay.
I think he probably has dreadlocks is what I think, too.
Wow, a dreadlocked Southern California
Mexican
hipster.
Does he actually does he call himself Bubba Guido, or is that how...
He does not.
Is that a slur?
It sounds
He's
kind
never
of
said his name.
Guido is usually a slur against Italians.
Yeah, I thought it was
Italian.
Italian.
Slur now.
Hold on, everybody's talking
sorry.
at once here. What's that, CW?
Sorry. I said he's never said his name, so we don't know his name on air, but he sounds like a Mexican hipster with dreadlocks. I swear to God.
And he had called in today to ask about Bitcoin?
Oh, no, yeah. He was talking about Bitcoin, like what backs it, and then he also brought up Goldback.
Really?
Because Goldback, isn't Goldback backed by gold? That's actual
They are
gold.
gold. They don't have to be backed.
Correct. You're talking about the gold back, which is a physical currency, an actual 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. It's a very, very beautiful product, and I highly recommend people learn about these things. They're fantastic.
Yeah, he brought that up versus having some digital currency. You have something that's actually a precious metal that might be reliable in the future
That's pretty
versus
cool.
crypto.
Both have their place, and I keep, I talk about the church's crypto holdings. I don't usually talk about the church's metal holdings that much, but I keep amount in metal that is, more than I have in any one cryptocurrency, and that is another thing. There's also the GB2, which is eventually coming, and that is a gold-backed currency, so that you can send goldbacks back and forth, as you're buying cups of coffee, but then you settle it with physical goldbacks. And I think that the Bitcoin was the very first of the cryptocurrencies, and so the fact that it could be a cryptocurrency was enough for it to sell. But eventually, what I expect, because the cost of doing the transactions is such a small cost usually, or a small part of the cost of actually doing the transaction, of actually providing the service that's bought, I would expect that most current cryptocurrencies, except the privacy coins, and possibly including the privacy coins, will eventually be silver or gold backed stable coins. That's my guess. I'm not an advisor. I'm a programmer. What do I know?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna look into the gold back, and I'm gonna see what's up with that, because precious metal just seems like the way to go.
Thanks,
Well,
CW.
Keep your eye out for the GB2, because you can have your cake and eat it too.
Thanks for the call, CW. I appreciate it. There's just going to be some people who can't really see the value in cryptocurrencies, even though the price is shooting up, and even though all these companies are coming on board and they're announcing support of it, and it seems more and more obvious that cryptocurrencies are going to be with us for the rest of our lives. Given that we don't have a huge EMP and everything that's electronic shuts down. There's pretty much no other
the government hits the internet switch.
Well, even if that happens, we can still put up our own internet. We can still do mesh networks and things like that.
True.
That can remedy
And
that problem.
we'll need it, because by the time they do that, they'll be controlling the whole economy, and people will have to buy stuff on the agorist market to keep from starving.
So anyway, I think it is important for people to look into, because if you can't wrap your mind around cryptocurrency, it's easy to wrap your mind around a gold back. It's 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. It's beautiful. It's obviously the real deal.
It's flattened out like a bill.
Yep, it's beautiful. It's just so incredible.
And for that reason, I say there will always be a role for precious metal backed cryptocurrencies, because the thing is, it's wonderful to buy and sell in silver. It's horrible to clear in it.
What does that mean, to clear?
To clear the transactions. That means when the money actually travels from buyer to seller. Now, the way they cleared transactions back in the day is they had big crates of gold in the basement of the Federal Reserve Bank. And when a bank would transfer money to another bank, they would take a sticker off one bar of gold or one box of gold and put a new sticker on it, and that signified the change of ownership. That was clearing.
And that's basically what goes on in the Bitcoin blockchain. Stickers move around.
It's just there's no there.
Yeah. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. It is Free Talk Live. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. As always, you're invited here to join us. You can bring up whatever is on your mind. We've once again found our way into discussing alternative currencies. It's a bit of a...
what a shock.
Yeah, it's a bit
Nobody comes on. We're talking crypto.
Yeah, it's a bit of a favorite discussion here, and I had a few interesting stories related to that here tonight. Now, if you want to join us, you can. And by the way, you want to learn about Bitcoin? You're sitting here wondering, what are these guys talking about? What's this Bitcoin stuff all about? I've heard a thing or two about it, but you don't know anything. Well, get to know it by going to bitcoin.com and click on Get Started right there at the top of the page. They'll give you some videos that you can watch. If you just watch the first one, you will become more informed than probably 80% of the population out there, maybe 90% maybe 95%. Because how many of these people who are actually buying Bitcoin even have done the basic research to know what it is that they're getting into? They just heard a thing. Oh, they heard this thing's worth money. They heard it's going up in value. Get the thing, numbers go up.
Yeah, speculators' opinions don't mean anything, or not very much. Good investors know what they're doing. Speculators do what they're told, which means they buy when everybody buys and they sell when everybody sells, and they lose.
And I'll give you an example of somebody that bought some Bitcoin. I got a phone call today. I run on behalf of the church, the Shifrey Church, a few Bitcoin vending machines here in New Hampshire. And one of them's out in Manchester at a place called Murphy's Tap Room. Been there for years. And a guy calls me up today. He sounds youngish. He sounds like maybe he's in his 30s or something like that. And maybe like an Indian kind of name, Middle Eastern sound. And he said he bought some Bitcoin at the vending machine. And normally when somebody calls about a vending machine issue, it's something they're having right then. There's a problem, the machine's down, or it's not working right or something. It rarely happens, but every now and then machines break, right? But this guy said he bought Bitcoin a few years ago at the machine, and he asked me if I could help him find the Bitcoin. And I said, well, if you bought Bitcoin, you must have had a wallet in which to send the Bitcoin to, because if you go to the machine and you tell the machine you want to buy Bitcoin, it won't let you put money in until you show it a Bitcoin wallet.
Right.
That it can
would
then
have
send
no
the Bitcoin
way
to.
of completing the transaction.
So I said to him, well, what was the wallet you were using at the time? Do you remember what wallet it was? And he didn't seem to have any idea about what a wallet was or anything like that. So
somebody told him it went in one ear and out the other. It can happen easily if there's nothing in between.
So I asked him, I said, well, was there a third party involved in this purchase? Meaning, were you buying Bitcoin on behalf of someone else? And he admitted that, yes, there was somebody else that he was told to go and pay them with Bitcoin. Now, I forget what the reason was. It could have been a scam. Who knows what it was.
It sounds like a scam, and it sounds like he's trying to scam the scammer and get his coin back.
Well, it's too late. I told him, look.
Yeah, I know. It's not going to work.
I told him, hey, man, whoever that person was, that they got your Bitcoin. Okay, so this guy didn't even know what a wallet was, but yet he successfully purchased Bitcoin. So that's the level of ignorance that I'm talking about here. There are literally people out there.
And this is why we don't give monkeys guns.
So right, there's literally people out there that have purchased Bitcoin and do not know how they did it. They don't know what happened. They have no idea where it went.
Well, also, it's Murphy's Tap Room. Maybe he was drunk when he did it. Maybe somebody carefully explained it to him.
I don't think
and
so.
it just went out the other ear. Well,
probably happened on the internet,
I'm not
right?
saying he understood, but maybe he thought he understood at the time.
Most of the people who go there are not there to drink. They go to purchase Bitcoin, and they leave.
To Murphy's Tap Room?
Yeah. They go there. No, the people who buy Bitcoin there. Most of them are just there to buy Bitcoin, and they walk out. They never even go into the actual
See, I can
venue.
imagine very easily if you're in a bar and you're drunk and something's going way up, you might buy some of it. And I don't know what I did. I bought some.
I suppose that could happen, but no.
It's certainly easier to collect than a tattoo. People do that when they're drunk all the time.
So, in other Bitcoin-related news, apparently America's oldest bank. I didn't know. I saw the headline. I'm like, what's that? I didn't know which bank that was. The Bank of New York Mellon Corporation.
Oh, God, from the Carnegie Mellon melons, I suppose.
Yeah, Mellon.
Wow.
They are the nation's oldest bank, and according to the Wall Street Journal, they are now making the leap into the market for cryptocurrencies. The custody bank said Thursday, that's today, that it will hold, transfer, and issue Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies on behalf of its asset management clients.
How will it issue Bitcoin exactly? Because I don't think they can just issue Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think that's the wrong word for what they will
I hope
be doing.
It's the wrong word.
I think that means
if it's the
they'll be
right
sending
word,
it.
then they're talking about some Bitcoin-backed security, and I want no part of that.
In time, BNY Mellon will allow those digital assets to pass through the same plumbing used by managers' other more traditional holdings, from treasuries to technology stocks, using a platform that is now in prototype. The bank is already discussing plans with clients to bring their digital currencies into the fold. And they're saying digital currencies. Here's Roman Regelman, the chief executive of their asset servicing and digital business. He said, quote, digital assets are becoming part of the mainstream, unquote. So again, we don't know which digital currencies they're going to be utilizing, but it sounds like it may be more than just the original Bitcoin BTC. So again, these are good developments. Last year in 2020, the federal government stepped away from regulating cryptocurrencies for banks. They made some statements. I think it was called the Office of Comptroller of the Currency, OCC. They made a statement saying to banks, hey, look, you can have accounts with cryptocurrency. You can deal with cryptocurrency on behalf of your customers. You can, what else did they tell banks? They told them that, it was basically safe, that they're not going to be attacked by the federal government regulators over this.
No, they're going to attack the little guys.
And they also told them, and you're right about that, but they also told the banks that they could use stable coins as well to settle payments between banks. So that could be really interesting if we actually see that. Now, again, it's not going to happen soon.
Stable coins are the gold standard of passing currency back and forth. It's just they used to be on paper. But you had gold and silver, and it was passed back and forth between the banks.
Warehouse receipts.
And warehouse receipts. That's exactly what a stable coin is. Even Peter Schiff can understand that.
Yeah, for listeners that don't know, a stable coin is a cryptocurrency token So it runs on a cryptocurrency like Ethereum, for instance, but it's not Ethereum. It's a token on Ethereum. So it's one of those smart contracts you were talking about earlier. And each one of these stable coins is physically backed by the thing that is backed by. So some of them are backed by dollars. Others are backed by an ounce of gold or silver or whatever. So
yeah. And the thing is, if the company that backed it, now that it's going, if they could liquidate themselves and leave the coin operating at value just by buying a lot of it back. You know, it's it becomes like training wheels. It's not needed anymore, I believe.
So it's a big step for Wall Street's back office banks, whose concerns over regulatory, legal, and stability risks left them reluctant to come into direct contact with crypto markets. But as prices of Bitcoin and other digital assets have continued to rise, they have become more popular with asset managers, hedge funds, and other institutional investors. And those firms' top executives started asking the Mellon Bank and their peers to treat digital assets as they would other holdings. According to their spokesperson, BNY Mellon isn't the first big-name financial firm to declare its interest in digital assets. Fidelity Investments announced a plan in October of 2018 to store and trade Bitcoin and Ether, which is Ethereum, as we discussed earlier, which is the second most popular crypto, another digital currency, and a year later won regulatory approval to operate its crypto business in New York. But BNY Mellon's announcement marks the first time one of the big custody banks has unveiled a roadmap for treating digital currencies as any other asset, and the bank hasn't put limits on the kinds of digital assets that it will be allowing its clients to store there. They intend to offer these capabilities later in 2021.
Wow.
So with these kinds of announcements, it seems like Bitcoin once again will continue to rise. It's hard to say what will happen.
Crypto will
but
absolutely continue to rise.
yeah, it's, there's going to be ups and downs, but it seems like it's an upward trajectory continues here. There's more coming up, and you're welcome to join us. 603-283-6160. Free Talk Live. You dial in. You bring up what you want. The number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Coming up, dating and COVID. We'll get into a completely different topic on the way. With you in the studio
and now
tonight,
for something completely different.
it's Ian.
And nobody.
And Bonnie.
All right, we're going to continue with your calls and thoughts. First up, he's Dave Ridley calling from New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Dave.
Dave, my brother, before you get started, I got a present for you. I've got a hard drive with your entire corpus of videos on it that I downloaded from YouTube because you're a national treasure and I didn't want to see your stuff get lost.
Nice.
Oh, thank you. That is awesome. Yeah, that would be helpful because most of my copies of stuff, my copy of what's on the Riddler Report is mostly on DVDs. So.
I know you in technology, and that's why I started with you.
So what's
anyway,
up,
I
Dave?
love you, brother.
What's going on?
Thanks, Rich. Well, you know how there's this, you know how they say, whenever you do anything original to fight the government, well, you should just use the system, right? Well, here's what happened to Lori Ortolano in Nashua when she tried to use the system here in New Hampshire. Which is probably one of the least bad systems in the country. But when she tried to use it, they kicked her out of City Hall.
Wow.
I'm surprised they let her into City Hall. I mean, it seems like these government bureaucrats are closing down everything these days.
They're circling the wagons. They know that they're starting some stuff that they're going to have to fight to defend sooner or later.
What was she fighting back for?
So she is like an investigator into the assessing process, and she tries to inform people how assessing works and so forth.
You mean like property values?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
She has a blog. I think it's good-gov.org.
The only good government is a dead government.
So she, as if there is such a thing, but she, she was just like, I guess she's they think she's just been there too much, asking too many questions, and they say she's harassing the employees, by being there. And I'm sure they must have great video of her harassing the employees, right?
Wow. What?
They said the same thing about us.
So this is what, Nashua City Hall? Is that where she went?
Yes, she was issued a no trespass order for being in City Hall.
Wow.
We should all go down there in person and file Freedom of Information Act demands relating to that arrest.
Well, Nashua
that's
is actually
that's another reason they were on her, because she was doing freedom of information stuff.
Oh yeah, they really don't like that, because then they actually have to reveal info, and it always looks bad when they do that, because the truth is an ugly thing when it comes to government.
God, yes, the truth is like kryptonite to government.
And I don't think they're making some kind of COVID, safety claim that you've got to, be careful about COVID. I don't think they're not even as best I can tell, they're not making a claim that that's why she couldn't be there.
Was she wearing a mask?
She was there asking questions and stuff.
Was she wearing a mask while asking questions? Do you know?
I don't know. And unfortunately, again, this is the thing. You don't do this stuff and then fail to get video of yourself doing it, right?
Apparently she did.
She hasn't been videotaping her activities, I don't think.
That's a huge mistake. So what she's getting wrong is what the guys that are doing the First Amendment audits are getting right. Joa from the Breaking the Flaw channel on YouTube, for instance, has been going around to various different town bureaucracies here in New Hampshire and recording video of his interactions, all of it. So he'll stream it live, actually, to YouTube, and it's like, some of these videos are an hour plus long of him just walking around town halls and getting confronted by bureaucrats and such. And
it would be interesting to combine the two and hire him as a videographer for her.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. But she could also learn to do it herself.
Yeah, I've got the URL. She's at good-gov.org. But I think you're better off just Googling her name. It's Lori Ortolano Nashua. And she's done a good job of getting positive coverage in the Union Leader, so she's getting that part right.
Well, I think the URL sounds easier to remember than that last name. Good-gov.org, you said?
Yeah, but there's not much there. I mean, it's just like information on how to do Nashua assessments. It's really boring. But if you Google Lori Ortolano, then you'll find the articles about all the craziness that she's been through just to be in City Hall.
And they've banned her from City Hall for asking questions.
Escorted her out of the building.
Wow.
Do you have her phone number, sir? Could you pass that to me offline?
I don't have that.
Okay. I'll see if I can find it.
There you go. Ridley, anything else you want to share tonight?
Thanks again for the hard drive, Rich.
No problem. That will be forthcoming soon.
Check him out at ridleyreport.com. He does videos frequently, reporting from across New Hampshire, and you do great work. Dave, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. The number here is 603-283-6160 if you want to join us. But yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if Joa from Breaking the Flaw could team up with that lady, but ultimately she needs to learn how to do it herself, because Joa he lives up in the North Country. It takes him an hour and a half just to go somewhere.
Well, it doesn't have to be Joa, but I completely disagree with this idea that activism should be done by one-man bands. I think that's insane. Activism, just like anything else, will benefit from specialization. You need your activists. You need your camera people. One person cannot do both. I had like 15 people working for me when I was doing the 420 rally, and that was a smallish event as events go.
See, I'm used to doing everything myself.
I know you are.
I find that you can't rely on people to do anything that you want to do right.
That's why you give them money, and if you can't find people,
but it's activism. You don't have money typically to give.
Well, I have some money now. You have some money now,
but your typical activist does not.
Well, your typical activist doesn't, and that's why they're available for hire. Some of us have money, some of us have time, none of us have both, because those of us who have money because they spend their time making money. And so we need to start moving money from the hands of people who have money into the hands of people who have time, and getting the people who have that time out there doing what they do. And that's why people leave, because they don't want to starve to death. We can't have that. Some of us are getting rich as hell off crypto, and I'm doing much better than I was doing because of crypto, and that's why I send money to these guys. I hire people to do things for me. We need to have real capitalism going on here, show people what it looks like, and capitalism is about specialization.
I mean, you're not wrong in that way, nobody. But that said, I don't think that it's wrong to encourage someone to learn the basic activism skill of pointing a video camera at something. If you're going to go somewhere, if you're going to loan her something, and that's what she's doing, she's going alone, and this is a bad idea,
it's
right?
It's a bad plan. An activist alone is in bad company.
No doubt about it. And I know that there are activists in Nashua. I just don't know where they are. I don't know how she could get in touch with them. I don't know what they I think they have a meetup.
Maybe we should.
Frank doesn't live there?
Frank, he lives in Manchester.
Oh.
He grew up there.
Let's shut down Free Keene and start Free New Hampshire and start.
There's no reason to shut down Free Keene.
Okay,
it's been around
not
since 2006.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's not.
And
shut down
Free Keene did expand its purview to include New Hampshire, but every time I've added someone from some other area, they've never performed. They've never, with the exception of Derek
they're probably
J.
at work.
That's not my problem. If you've got something to do, if you're interested in reporting on a thing, I've brought people into Free Keene from Manchester and elsewhere, and they write like one blog, and then that's it. They're done. So, I love your idea, but no one has done this successfully as of yet.
Nobody can do it.
There used to be a Free Grafton blog. That got shut down because the guy that ran it left town.
Right.
And that's really been the only other attempt.
Yeah, and that's
Free Concord with Garrity, and he did it too.
Yeah, and
then he moved to Keene.
That's why I say that we've got to we've got to professionalize the movement somewhat. We've got to get, just like every other nonprofit organization or movement, we've got to have donations coming in, and we've got to be paying the people on the ground, because you can't spend your whole life doing something and not getting paid. And doing activism is not conducive to your day job, whatever your day job is.
I'd like to say that the camera, if she had a camera on while she was doing this, it could have been kind of like the weapon that kept her from getting kicked out of the
Absolutely.
And she should have a camera if she's going to do this alone.
I mean, does she have a phone? Like, she could use her phone.
That's what I'm suggesting.
She could use Cell 411.
You don't have to do a crazy, expensive video camera. Almost everybody has a phone, and almost every phone has a camera, so you can do this. You just have to put it into play.
And it's hard to do it to be doing all the roles. It's much easier if you've got a cameraman with you.
I agree with you.
That's why I do that for you, and you do that for me sometimes.
Yes, yeah, and that's why it helps to be around a group of activists and ask for help. If you're not willing to ask for help, then you better learn how to do it yourself, because otherwise you're going to get pushed around. There's more coming up here, hour 3 next. Enjoying the discussion.
Cool system.
So let's see. Let's change gears here a little bit and get into I said I had a COVID story tonight, and this is from CNN, which is, of course, Propaganda Central.
Dispatches from the land of the Branch Covidian cult.
Yeah. And just to give you an idea of how bad this story is going to be, the photograph that they're using as their headline photo here are two people wearing masks who appear to have, you can't really tell for sure because they're wearing masks, but they appear to be happy. The man has like squinty eyes. It's a man and a woman.
That's racist.
And he's a white guy.
Oh, okay.
That's not what he meant.
You can't be racist then.
And and they're doing the elbow bump thing, okay, where the one elbow's sort of connecting with another elbow.
Both arms or just one arm each?
One arm.
Oh.
One arm.
Yeah.
So one arm each. They're sort of connecting with each other's elbow. And they've got masks on. Yeah. CNN reports here, and by the way, Ian, Nobody, and Bonnie in the studio tonight. Attentive lover, passionate about work, empathy in spades, facial hair. For months now, Sarah Jablow it's a tough name, has sought...
Not as tough as being a pretty girl with facial hair.
No doubt. Has sought a hard-to-find combination of personality traits in prospective boyfriends. Now, however, after nearly a year of the COVID-19 pandemic...
Oh, was that what she was looking for?
I don't know.
Okay, it's not what she has.
They don't make that clear.
Okay, that's important. That's an important. I don't know if this. I don't even know if this is a trans story or not. Now,
I couldn't tell you. They don't clarify whether that's what she wants or what she has. But either way, after nearly a year of the COVID-19 pandemic, one elusive characteristic is beginning to transcend all others for her: vaccination status. It's not that she's picky. The 34-year-old winemaker from Napa, California, has been on about half a dozen Zoom dates and several in real life dates since she ended her
I just had this image of a jet zooming into Boston Harbor.
No, it's much less exciting than that, I imagine. I know how awful any meeting is on Zoom. We attended one last night, actually, that Aria posted on her YouTube channel.
Oh,
And
yes.
that wasn't a date, and it was awful, and I can only imagine how awful going on a quote-unquote date with somebody on Zoom must be.
Well, are you going with geriatric Republicans? Because that's not going to help.
That did make it a lot more boring.
Now, she also says she did have several in real-life dates since she ended her last long-term relationship in June. This time, however, the entire search is different. She received her first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine in late January, and she's looking for a partner who is either vaccinated or interested in getting vaccinated soon.
And she's welcome to him.
This is like, I think like 2 years ago, I think it was Cosmopolitan had a story about like iPhone users just being like, I just simply can't date someone who has an Android. As soon as I find out they have an Android, it's a turnoff.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have, I mean, that's a great way to push people. They used that in the anti-smoking campaign. They certainly use it in the anti-capitalism campaign.
You mean only date people who are anti-smoking?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And basically not just do it, but let's write stories about that, because that will make people who are insecure, who do what we don't want them to do, go, oh, I've got to stop doing this. You know, of course, there's a non-masky girl out there for the guys who are not masky also.
Right. Well, that's what I love about the masks is it's an instant filter to filter out all of the cowards. I mean, now there are people wearing masks.
It's not always like that, though. I had this pretty little college girl come up and give me a big hug at a rally one time, and she's masked, and I'm like, I wasn't going to give you a hug because you were masked,
Right,
and
what
I
did she
thought
say?
you'd be scaring me. She said if I wasn't wearing this and somebody from my college saw me, even off campus, I would
my
be
God.
expelled.
It's
So I
insane.
have to wear this mask.
Well, I mean, it's still based out of fear, but
It's
yes.
still based out of fear, but it's not irrational to be afraid to be kicked out of school.
When they actually are out to get
irrational
you.
to be afraid of catching a cold.
Yeah, when they actually are out to get you, then I get that. And that is the part of the problem with the masks is you can't at a glance identify somebody who is doing it out of a legitimate concern about like that or out of just some irrational fear.
And that's why we do the bong ritual at the Church of the Invisible Hand to remind you to always question what you think you know.
Indeed. But if they put it on their dating profile, then you know you're dealing with a pro-masker. You know you're dealing with somebody
unless
like
they're
that.
wearing a mask that says this is a useless mask,
Yeah.
which I want to start selling.
So Jablow says, it's all about the vaccine for me now. I'm pretty straightforward about it. I believe in science. And if someone isn't interested in the vaccine, or if they don't believe in vaccines in general, I'm done.
Well, let me tell you something about science, sweetheart. Science says if you're going to take a drug, you test it first. You give it time. You find out if it works, because you'll find out that there's been research done with vaccines. For example, a group of ferrets that were vaccinated, and lo and behold, although they became immune to one strain of the disease, a different strain killed them dead.
Well, now aren't there like 4,000 COVID variants or something like that?
Exactly. So what happens is you have an allergic reaction, which is allergic reactions are always overreactions by your immune system. You have an allergic reaction to the virus that's already making you sick, and that makes you twice as sick.
Lovely.
And it can lead to anaphylactic shock, among other things.
Well, so is that in her bio, or is she just being interviewed for this article?
She is saying this is her most important thing on her various different dating profiles. Like, this is her filter.
She's being interviewed on that statement wasn't part of like her bio on her profile, right?
From what I understand, that it is. So she's saying
that information is almost certainly there, because I've seen it on a lot of.
Oh, I have too. I made a Tinder and I added like girls and boys just so that I could try to find.
Nice.
No, it was just so I could try to find weed in Manchester, which was like impossible. I don't know why it's so easy to do that with like Tinder and Grindr.
This was before
in bigger
you met
cities.
us in Keene, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
And I saw stuff like social distancing only and stuff like that from some, but only girls. It only looked like girls had stuff like that.
Well, guys don't want to be distant, and past a certain point, you can't really social distance.
Well, they've got recommendations for sex too, dude.
Yeah, I'll tell them where they can put their recommendations, and I think that would qualify as sex.
She says that she's pretty straightforward about it. She believes in science, as though the science was settled, I suspect.
Oh, the science is settled. The science is always settled. If they put a label on it that says vaccine, it cannot possibly have any side effects. The science is settled. I am the law.
She is not the only vaccinated single person looking for quote-unquote safer dating these days. We'll tell you more about matchmaking in 2021 in the world of COVID on the way. And if you are in the dating scene right now and you've dealt with this situation, you want to comment, please.
Does it count if you're not dating anybody?
603-283-6160. If you've dealt with it, you can join us here or bring up whatever you want on Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk Live. The number, if you want to join us, 603-283-6160. We're talking about dating in the world of COVID. And yes, it is just as lame as it sounds.
Well, just don't date COVIDians.
Well, indeed, but it's of course hard to find those because there aren't likely dating sites that exist for people who are skeptical of
the dating site for people who are skeptical is out in the world because they're the ones who aren't terrified and glued to their computers.
It's a good point.
Find people who are out walking around talking to people, have a party, open a bar.
Yeah, not a bad idea, although easier said than done because most people are not activists, and so they're not willing to take a risk like opening a bar.
You got to fight for your right to party.
I agree, and that's why I threw a great party on New Year's Eve, because I agree with that philosophy. So with you tonight, it's Ian.
Nobody.
And Bonnie.
And we're going to go to your calls and thoughts, starting out here with Lysander Knapp. He's on the line in Indiana. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, what's on your mind?
Hey there, brother man.
Yeah, I made it back to Indiana nice and safe. What I wanted to talk about
more than we can say for the turkey.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a hit done by New York State.
They tried to kill you with a turkey. That never happens.
What happened with the turkey?
The New York State tried to kill him with one.
I missed the story.
I hit a turkey. It smashed my windshield.
On the way back home? Because you were visiting here.
Yes.
Okay.
That sucks.
Yikes.
Wow.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about my one-man protest I did at the courthouse here in Pendleton, Indiana. And since you guys are talking about, sometimes that's not a good idea, I did have my phone and I did record. But
what was it you were protesting at the courthouse?
Oh, it was it was right when they did the stay-at-home order in Indiana.
Oh, so this is months ago.
Yeah, months and months and months ago.
Gotcha.
But I tried to get people to come out with me. I have a network of voluntarists in the States network, more like 8 people, but still.
And that's over the whole state? Hold on, just to clarify, that's over the whole state of Indiana?
That's pretty much. I mean, it's the Indianapolis area.
Wow.
Okay.
There's more than that within a block of me, I think.
Well, at least you've identified each other.
I tried getting them out. What was that, Bonnie?
Oh, I said at least you identified each other.
Yes.
You're going to stay there.
We do know each other. But it was tough getting them out. I think a lot of them were just afraid of confrontation or losing their jobs. Because, I mean, I was getting yelled at standing out there on the street corner holding a sign that said, "We are not subjects. Free people disobey tyrants."
Good.
Wow, it's a good sign. That's not even anything like somebody could say you're being bad.
I think they were afraid
This is why I'm recruiting you, bro.
I think they were afraid of losing their jobs, not because of the content, but because of simply going out like without a mask or something. Is that why they were afraid, Lysander? Just because they didn't want to be seen causing controversy?
I couldn't really get a good answer out of them. It's just a lot of excuses of why they couldn't show up.
Weak.
At the very beginning, I was scared of the disease because frankly, I saw the footage coming out of China, and it looked ugly. You know,
It looked like a zombie film.
Yeah.
it did.
I was scared too. Me and my friend that I lived with at the time, we saw news about it when it had only killed like 9 people, and we were like, "This is scary." And I remember telling my boyfriend at the time about like it being scary and saying like, "What was it? Oh yeah, coronavirus." I was saying like, "That's gonna be like, what if it kills people and stuff?" And he was like, "No, it won't." And then he was one of the first people that I heard about getting it.
Oh, and
Wow.
did it kill him?
Did he die?
No, he's fine.
Okay.
Are
imagine
you
that.
glad he didn't die? Or
Don't really care.
okay.
All right.
Yeah,
So-
it didn't
whole
look
thing was
like you were
actually-
that excited that he'd lived.
So, Lysander, you went out there, you had a sign, you were all by yourself. What happened?
I was actually gotten a kind of a. I was speaking respectfully to this person, but he was saying I was a trash human, and I
Was this a
wanted
government
to,
worker?
Kill everyone on the street.
Is this a-
No, it was just some passerby.
Just a rando. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I was trying to explain to him that he's doing worse by trying to shut down these restaurants that I was standing in front of.
Now, wait,
but
I thought you were at the courthouse.
lack of, yes, I was in front of the courthouse. Our town, the courthouse is at a corner of a strip. It's an
Okay.
old, like 1820s town.
Gotcha.
So everything's kind of in the central area. But that's one of the reasons that kind of got me wanting to link up with Nobody and Kirby to do this indie gun church, is to create a more focused network of people who are really serious about getting out and doing stuff.
I love it. That sounds great. So,
Keep it up.
so when you were out in front of the courthouse, you were protesting the stay-at-home order, basically, and it was just this one guy that gave you trouble. Was that the only worthy story?
I mean, there was a lot of people that drove by and gave me a thumbs down and stuff like that. There was.
Did you get
people
thumbs
who
up
supported
too?
me as well? There were people who did support me, so that was
Okay,
good to
good.
see. But I just was. It was disheartening that I couldn't get anyone to come out with me,
I know.
and
I
that's
know
why
the
a lot
feeling.
of people do it alone. Is because just no one will join them.
Yep. That's why I moved to New Hampshire. I mean, there was many a time, and to be fair to the activists down in Florida, there were some people who came out with me, but they were usually the people that were my friends, that I knew personally. But there were some that would come out. But there was more than once where I was the only person, doing a tax day protest out in front of the post office or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was just as soon as I heard the idea of, hey, let's get multiple liberty-minded people together in the same place, I'm like, oh, that's a no-brainer. I got to join.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have enough people. If we got all of the libertarians in America,
we can't do that
into New Hampshire, but just pretend we did.
10% would be fine.
Well, if we got all of the libertarians in America into New Hampshire, there is no question in my mind that we could defend it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so the question then becomes, what percentage do we have to get? What's the minimum that we need to defend it? And I think it's far fewer than all of the libertarians. I think you're probably right that 10% of
That's
the
probably too
libertarians
many.
in American. I mean, it might be more than you can fit. I don't know how many libertarians there really are because there hasn't been a fair election.
That's true.
Well, I'll say when I was in the Middle East,
treason
it
to
was
say
a cell of like 600 fighters that held my entire battalion at bay. So
Where was this? Sorry.
when I was in Iraq, in
Wow.
Fallujah,
And how big's a battalion?
about ours was a battalion reinforced, so it was about 1,500.
And they had 600 fighters, you said?
Yeah,
Nice.
roughly estimate.
The
Very good.
militia has a huge advantage because they're always fighting at home. If they're not at home, they're not the militia.
Thank you for your call tonight, Lysander. Appreciate hearing from you. The number is 603-283-6160. There's real benefits to having people who love freedom in the same place together.
Oh, yes.
And we're scratching the surface just on this one issue. I would recommend people out there go and check out the 101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire. It's a great little hour-long documentary. You can go to 101reasonsfilm.com. You can watch it there. It's half a decade old at this point, but it's still got a lot of really solid information in it, and it'll give you a taste of what it's like to be around more liberty-minded people than you could possibly know. That's how it is here.
And activism's coming soon again.
Activism has never stopped.
It's true.
There's more coming up here. This is Free Talk Live. It is Free Talk Live. The number, if you want to join us, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Coming up in just a few months from now, several months from now, the summertime, the second week in summer, you're going to want to join us if you can make it up to New Hampshire for Fork Fest 2021. It's going to be the 5th annual Fork Fest. What is Fork Fest? How would you explain it, Nobody?
Well, Fork Fest is to Pork Fest as anarchy is to minarchy.
Okay. And Pork Fest is
take Fork Fest or Pork Fest, which is the original venerable camping festival of New Hampshire's anarchists and minarchists and libertarians, and you just turn it up to 11. Okay, and there you've got Fork Fest, because there's nobody telling you can't do this. There's nobody telling you.
Nobody, you wouldn't do that.
What?
You wouldn't do that.
No, nobody wouldn't do that. And that's the thing. They gave the job to me. I'm supposed to control everybody. I'm not going to do it.
And no one actually gave you a job because there's no one to give you the job in the first place.
Well, nobody hired me to do it.
Exactly. Forkfest.party
and I'm not gonna.
Is where you can go to learn more about the event. Let's give you the dates for you here. June 28th through July 4th. Go ahead and mark your calendar now and book your campsite. You can book your campsite, your hotel room or your motel room, the RV sites as well. This is a huge campground. It's the largest campground in New Hampshire, and it's a beautiful place to go. In fact, I highly recommend you check this out, Bonnie. It's going to be your first time.
Yeah, I'm excited.
At Fork Fest. You were
a virgin.
She was watching some footage today from last year's event, and you said it looks pretty beautiful, and you're right.
Oh, yeah, the campground looked really pretty.
Yep, and it looks a lot better in person if you can come out and visit us. It's June 28th through July 4th. It's decentralized, which means that no one gets to decide anything except for whatever their own campsite is doing. So if you want to create a thing for other people to do, you can create that on your campsite and sort of invite people to it, promote it. There's a unofficial ForkFest forum. There's a ForkFest Telegram chat room. Those are two
places. And if nobody likes your idea, nobody will come.
Correct. And maybe more than nobody will come. Who knows? You never know.
You never know.
You don't know until you try it. And so check it out, forkfest.party, and we'll see you there. We go to Scott the Bigot. He's on the line. Scott, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian, Nobody, and Bonnie.
Get over it, Scott.
Good evening, Ian, Nobody, and Bonnie. I hope you're having a good evening. I'll tell you why I'm calling. I am so outraged with America. I am putting my money where my mouth is, and I don't know if you approve of this idea, but I'm not going to pay my taxes.
I approve.
Good for you.
Let them come after me. See, during the Revolutionary War, everyone who knows history knows the famous slogan in the Revolutionary War. And it was a very simple slogan. It was no taxation without representation.
Mm-hmm.
The way I look at it, I haven't gotten a bit of representation, and I hate the United States government. And if the government is listening, am I a radical? Yes, I am. Do I want to see the overthrow of the United States government? Yes. I look at Americans as being spineless and stupid or in a funk, Ian and Bonnie and Nobody, but I want to tell you something. Things have got to change because this nation has already stripped us of or very soon, our First Amendment rights, Second Amendment rights. They want to silence us. They want to disarm us.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran this idea by you a few months ago. If everyone in America wasn't so stupid and spineless and said, look, we are not going to pay our taxes. You've destroyed our livelihoods with COVID. I'm not saying that there are people that died, don't get me wrong, but you don't destroy a whole economy. Don't you think, Ian, Bonnie, and Nobody, that if millions of Americans said enough is enough, we're not paying our taxes, don't you think that we could neutralize this evil United States government? Yes or no?
I do think that, and I'm always saying that.
I'm going to say no, and here's why. Because they don't care whether you pay taxes or not. They act like they do. Like they'll prosecute Wesley Snipes, or they'll go after a certain high visibility individual to give them 50 lashes in front of the town square to prove that you need to pay taxes. But the reality is they don't care. What they care about is whether you keep using their money. Because if you keep using their money, even if you're not paying taxes, they can just keep printing out more money and fund themselves that way.
But taxes are what keep you locked into using their money. You have to get dollars to pay your property taxes. That's why it's so important to, like, be churches and to not have property taxes, because that locks you into the dollar. And I think that, if it was me, Scott, the other thing I would say is yeet their money. You don't have to get crypto. Get dollar, or get gold, get silver, get weed.
I bought gold.
Get anything not dollars.
Well, I do think that if everybody stopped paying taxes all at once, they wouldn't be able to prosecute everybody.
No,
and most
that's
people
true.
would get away with it.
They wouldn't be able to prosecute everybody, and that would cause the dollar to lose a lot of its value, because if you don't have to get dollars to pay the government, you don't have to get dollars. Anything else
taxes
you can
is
get
nothing
for
but
something
extortion, the way that I see it. And
true.
people are cowardly. And the reason why they aren't, I will stand my ground. I've thought of it many times. The IRS or whatever, let them come out. If need be, I'll hire an attorney. I'm not going to pay taxes to a government that squanders money. Let me put it another way. If you gave the United States government $100 trillion, $100 trillion, it has an insatiable appetite. It would never be enough money.
Oh, yeah,
No
they
amount
burned
of
through
money
that
is
in like
enough.
3 months.
They
No
burned
money
through
is
about $4 trillion a year. So
No, they spent more than 4 last year. I think 4 was what the bailout was, wasn't it?
Oh, you're right. The bailout was 3. So okay, they're going
to be at 100 trillion in a year. They'll be at 100 trillion in a year within the next decade.
They may well, but if they are, the dollar will be worth a fraction of what it's worth now.
No doubt about it, and that's their plan. They're going to keep printing, and that's the thing. If people were to stop paying, first of all, everybody's not going to stop paying taxes. Obedient people will continue to do this, but I support.
Well, let the obedient people pay for as much government as they want.
I support what you're saying, Scott. I think it's important for people to keep the money that they earn. And, my objection is not that they're squandering money, but that they're using money to murder and to rape and to kill and to put peaceful people behind bars. I cannot be morally
destroy our economy.
Yeah, I cannot be morally behind murder. I can't be morally behind. And so giving them my obedience, I can't do that. There's no reason for it. It would be immoral for me to pay into that.
Every dollar in my bank account is a vote for murder.
Even if I knew for sure that all my dollars went for their good things that they want to fund, I still couldn't give money and do business with. Well, I do, but I don't want to give money and do business with people who are racist. But there are lots of people that want to do it, and that's what the government is: racist, murderers.
I want to ask you a question, a very important question.
Yes.
In Keene, New Hampshire, are there a lot of restaurants on Main Street that have shut their doors?
Not on Main Street, but there have been some restaurants that have closed around town.
We know a restaurant owner who's closed 2 out of her 3 restaurants since COVID began.
And the 2 out of the 3 aren't in Keene, but they're in nearby towns.
Right.
The point I'm making is this. If all the restaurant owners, it doesn't matter, Keene, anywhere in the United States, banded together, say there's 20 restaurants in Keene that went out of business, or 10 or whatever, they banded together. They got a pro bono lawyer and says, look, draconian COVID laws have destroyed our businesses, and they refuse to pay their taxes. Are you telling me that they couldn't bring the town governments to their knees?
I agree with you. If business owners
the question is, would enough people show up
to back
when
them up?
The IRS came to take their houses? Would enough people show up with guns or take their businesses? Yeah. Would enough people show up with guns to make that not happen?
That is an important question, and that's the only thing you can do when you've got people networked together, like peoplesrights.org, Cell 411,
Freedom Cells.
Yep. And of course, the migration here to New Hampshire. Go to move.shiresociety.com to learn more about that. Thanks, Scott. More coming up. This is Free Talk Live. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. With you tonight, you've got Ian.
I am nobody.
And Bonnie.
And you can join us online anytime you want over at freetalklive.com. And don't forget, we got a variety of features on the website, including the AMP program at amp.freetalklive.com that helps us get Free Talk Live on more radio stations. This is a big week for Free Talk Live. Behind the scenes, we're moving to a new network after 15 years of being on the Genesis Communications Network. They've been great to us. I've got no gripes with GCN. In fact, we may be staying with them in some way, shape, or form. We haven't quite ironed all that out, but we're moving to Talk Media Network starting this week, and that's a big change.
You couldn't find
for
one
us.
called Exodus Media Communications?
Nope.
Okay, that's usually the step after Genesis.
Oh, I see. I get the joke now. Yes.
Ian went to church as a kid, but he didn't pay attention.
Yeah, I don't remember all the details about the books and such.
It's times like this when I wish I'd listened to what my mother told me. What did your mother tell you? I don't know. I didn't listen.
Well, Bonnie got the joke. She went to church, and she did pay attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know all the books of the Bible.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. Wow.
Do you know the order of them?
Well, actually, I know all the order of the New Testament,
I
but
see.
I kind of mess up the Old Testament.
Wait, the New Testament is a bunch of parallel stories, though. They're not really ordered.
Sure,
Well,
but the books appear in a certain order.
The canon order or whatever.
Yeah, see, that was just some guy, just set up by some guy
I'm not
like
a Christian.
400 years later. There's nothing, even if you believe in Christianity, unless you believe in the divinity of King James, the order of the books of the Bible doesn't mean much. I'm just busting your balls, I know.
Yeah.
Let's go to your phone calls here. We've got an unscreened caller. You're on Free Talk Live, the final segment. Go ahead.
Yeah, how's it going over there, Free Talkers? This is Bubba Guido over here in Arizona.
Hey, Bubba Guido, how you doing, bro?
Hey, pretty good. Yeah, I guess.
Okay, we had a guess.
Talking to,
Are you in fact a Mexican
talking about
hipster?
the Bitcoin and crypto and alternative currencies tonight, and that's a good thing. And it's good to hear you guys discussing such things. We're heading into what I believe is about the weakest dollar we may have seen at some point here.
Oh,
within
yeah,
the next
it's
year
the
or
weakest
so.
dollar. There's no doubt
It
about
will
that.
be weak as water.
And it's getting weaker.
And another 1.9 trillion pumped into an economy that we won't get much return on that money either.
Nope.
So
take that check and turn it into either gold or cryptocurrency. I mean,
or silver. Don't forget silver.
Yeah, I'm not a financial advisor, but that's what I would do if I got one.
And that was not financial
interestingly
advice,
enough,
but it's the
out
financial
here
advice.
in Arizona,
Sorry.
in 2017, we passed gold and silver are legal tender here now.
Really?
Nice.
Now, wait a minute. When you say gold and silver are legal tender, does that mean that you can pay taxes with them?
Well, so far as I have gathered, yes, indeed, and it's
Really?
specie legal tender, which it
Please
has
don't.
to be in coin form of some type, from what I know. And I'm looking into it more all the time, but yes, indeed, that it was ran through the legislator, and the governor signed off of it in 2017, and that was one of the indications that I have read that you can use it to pay off taxes, debts, things to the government. And I've even seen some places where they're trading, like at swap meets and stuff. So I hope it catches on.
Me too.
I know that Utah actually passed something back in 2011, I believe it was, that allowed gold, officially U.S. government-issued gold, not any old gold, but the government, like U.S. Eagles, I think they're called, gold eagles, that allowed them to be used as quote-unquote legal tender in the payment
But do
of
you
taxes.
use them at face, which is $50 on a
Yes.
1 ounce coin?
Yeah.
Yeah, ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah. And I suspect that's
but
what
see, that's Utah is where the gold backs are being printed.
That's
So
correct.
they've gotten deeper into it where you can go all the way down to the $1 or 1 unit gold back, which I guess is about $3.40 in currency.
Correct. The
And-
goldback, however, the goldback is not quote-unquote legal tender in Utah because it is not issued by the federal government. It's an actual really useful form of currency, so of course
Yeah.
the government isn't making it.
So
And
what
they
were,
go for $4 or $5 out here. So.
Yeah.
what was this caller and David from New Mexico's problem with each other?
Yeah, I didn't really know because I stepped away from the radio for a minute, but I caught a little bit of what he was saying, and he pretty much lives out in his own little world out in New Mexico, from what I do know about the guy, and he's an escapist nonconformist from what I can tell. And I didn't even know my name was Bubba Guido until tonight, so I guess that's my name.
So are you the guy he was referring to? Because for listeners that don't know, our regular caller, who normally calls in this segment, David, called in the second hour of the show.
And he sounded pissed.
And he was referring to someone who called a radio station in Arizona, which we still aren't sure which one, but then somebody else said it was K-Talks, which is one of our affiliates. And so it's been a bit of a mystery.
It's confusing.
Yeah, so
it's confusing.
Yes,
and your voice sounds a little bit like
That would be me, I'm
it.
pretty sure.
Okay.
And all I was just wondering what backs up Bitcoin. And, it's good to hear you guys talk about it. It's been this mystery quotient in society for most people, even like you're saying, some people buy it and don't even know what they're buying.
Yeah. Well, here's the good thing. Here's the good news. It doesn't have to be a mystery. The good news is there's a lot of information about it on the internet. So you can go to bitcoin.com, click Get Started, and go through some of the videos there and get some of the basics down and understand what it is that makes cryptocurrency special, what makes it different, why it's worth so much money. And I would recommend that people take the time to do that because it's easier to do. I mean, we can go over some of the basics here, but it's nice to have a visual representation of what the network kind of looks like and, to get some idea. It's nice to have those animations that kind of help bring home some basic concepts. So that's what I would recommend that you do because these things are not going away. Cryptocurrency as an asset class, as money, as document storage, as data storage, all these technologies that we're barely scraping the surface of with cryptocurrency. This stuff isn't going away. It's going to become more and more entrenched in industries and in our lives. So you should learn about it sooner rather than later.
And I would love...
Yeah, and you guys do a good job of getting some info out there, and I'm really impressed to see that some major banking institutions are going to start accepting cryptocurrency. And is MasterCard also going to start accepting Bitcoin payment?
We're not clear on which...
They say cryptos, but not necessarily Bitcoin.
We're not clear on what MasterCard's going to be doing, but they are announcing publicly, apparently, that they're going to be doing something with allowing businesses to accept some sort of form of cryptocurrencies. And we'll as soon as we learn more about that, we'll certainly let you know. And I want to say thank you for your call tonight. Definitely appreciate hearing from you there. What was his name?
Mr. Guido.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
And I don't know what to call you, Mr. Guido, but yeah, if you want to learn, the other thing is I would love to educate somebody over a video call and then publish the videos of it. So if you want to get a one-on-one education, I would be down. You sound like you can change your positions when presented with new information, and I respect that.
Can he email you?
Yes, he can email me at thank you, sweetie. He can email me at nobody@electnobody.com.
Excellent. All right. So just to wrap things up here tonight, we were talking about the dating world in this vaccine dating world where people are now only going to date
I'm
people.
not going to that dating world. I'm going to the non-vaccine dating world. I prefer a woman who, even if I'm not looking to have kids with her, it's nice if she can.
Indeed. And somebody in the chat room on our Twitch feed is saying nomaskdate.com, but I went there and there's actually nothing there. So I think he was throwing out an idea that maybe somebody should make a anti-mask dating website.
Or even better, open up an anti-mask bar somewhere, and I'll come and party with you. Get strippers. Really. Meet people in person.
I agree, and and hopefully we'll see that happen. I think that if that happens, it's going to need to be like a private club, because you're going to have to be able to exclude members of the government from coming in.
Yeah, I would agree. And also, regulations don't apply if you're not doing business with the public. And a private club is not doing business with the public.
Yeah, I hope that we get to see that happen and see what happens, because if somebody's willing to take those sorts of risks, I want to get behind that, because I think that's a great idea. So, out of time for tonight, you can join Nobody over on his website. It is electnobody.com. And nobody's not done yet with that elect nobody.
Nobody's not done yet. I've been bloody but unbowed.
And between now and tomorrow night, you can join us online anytime you want. Head on over to freetalklive.com. Join our social media site. We're competing with Twitter. We're giving you an option that is not centrally controlled by a bunch of mega corporations. Social.freetalklive.com. We'll see you there.